This video is going to be about how to set up your margins for your document, how to look at your line spacing. I'm going to admit you don't actually have to do any of this. So Google has the defaults already set up for 1-inch margins and for 1.15 line spacing. 1 line spacing is single spaced. 2 is double spaced. So that 1.15 is just a little bit more than single spacing. If you want to, you can change it to 1.05. That is something that I usually set it to in Word in order to have just that little tiny extra bit without taking up quite so much space. If you don't have a lot of content in your resume, leave your line spacing at the 1.15. If you're somebody, though, who has a lot of experience and you're concerned that you won't be able to keep it within 2 pages, go ahead during these steps and go ahead and change it to the 1.05. That will give you just a little bit more space in order to write your content. All right, so we're at the point now where we have this blank document. We have saved the document with a name. Now we're going to go ahead and go into those margins and spacing. So we are now on step 3. We're going to go into page setup by left clicking on the word file up here in the menu. We're going to do a quick left click, scroll down to the bottom where it says page setup and just left click on page setup. And that brings up this page setup window. And what we're looking is just to make sure that our top, bottom, left, and right are all at 1. And again, if you are somebody that has a whole lot of content and you're afraid of it not fitting, you can change this top and bottom to 0.5. That will give you a little bit more room. You just go 0.5 on top, 0.5 on the bottom, and then you just click OK. I'm going to go ahead and just go back to 1-inch margins for now. This is where Google is giving you the ability to control what your page looks like. Portrait, that's the one where it's taller than it is wide. Landscape is where it flips to the side, where now it's a wider page than it is tall. But for a resume, we want portrait, so we're going to leave that there. Paper size, that's automatically set to 8.5 by 11. I'm not going to bother changing that. We don't need a color, so ignore all of that. So pages, you're done. You just click OK. All right, so step 3 is done. Now we're going to take a look for step 4 at line spacing. And there is a line spacing button in the toolbar. Now, because I'm zoomed in really far so that you guys can see what's up on the screen, I can't actually see the line spacing button in my toolbar right now. Anytime I'm giving you instructions and you can't see the button that I'm talking about, come up here to this little 3-dot button that says More. I'm just hovered over it and you can see the word More right there. I'm just going to left click and all the buttons I can't currently see because there isn't enough room on the toolbar show up. Now the button that we're looking for the line spacing is this one right here, the 3 lines with the arrow next to it pointing up and down. So I'm hovered over it right now and I can see that the name of it is line and paragraph spacing. Now I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick left click. And that gives me all the options for line spacing in Google. I can do single, which does make those lines a little bit closer. The default is the 1.15. This is where if you don't have a ton of content, go ahead and leave it on the default. If you want to do custom spacing, so let's say you want to do the 1.05, you're going to come down here and click on custom spacing. So quick left click there. And now you just change it from 1.15 to 1.05. Now, I talked to you in class for Word about that spacing before and after. Google has this set to 0 already as its default. Leave it alone. For the resume, we do not want any extra space every time you hit enter on your keyboard. We want to keep that single spacing. In this case, we've got the 1.05. If that's what you want to do, click apply. All right, but for this lab, I do want to go back to the 1.15. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this button again. And you'll see that right now we're at the 1.05. There's a check mark next to it, which tells us that that is the currently selected option. And so I'm just going to now click on that. And now if we look at it again, now 1.15 is the currently selected option. You're not going to change anything else. We're not adding any extra spaces before or after the paragraph when we hit enter. These are more for letters and essays, but the current defaults are what we want. So that's a good default. And so you're done. Just go ahead and click back on your document, and you're done with step 4, and you're ready to go to the video for step 5.